Right then, let's get into it, and fast, because there's a lot to unpack and not much time left on the clock for Celtic to get their act together. As you're watching this, we're just a little over 24 hours away from the UEFA Champions League registration deadline, and yet the squad looks more or less the same as it did a week ago, a month ago. No new reinforcements, no signs of urgency, and certainly no clear indication that Celtic are treating this playoff like the massive moment it truly is. The Champions League group stage is there within reach, but if we're being brutally honest, it feels like we're approaching it with one hand tied behind our back. Now we know who we're playing. Kra Almaty, a team from Kazakhstan, a team that's fought tooth and nail through every single qualifying round just to get this far. They're not mugs, they've got momentum, belief, and they've just knocked out Slovan Bratislava on penalties. Meanwhile, what do we have? A couple of training ground photos, a few vague transfer rumors, and a whole lot of supporters starting to feel the nerves creeping in. And rightly so. The first leg is next week. Celtic Park, Wednesday night. Under the lights with the crowd roaring, the flags waving, and the music blaring through the speakers. That should be enough to spark life into this squad, even if reinforcements haven't arrived. But here's the issue. It's not about that one game, is it? It's about the whole tie. Because after that first leg, we're boarding a flight that takes us over 7,000 miles east to Almaty to play in a 24,000 capacity stadium at a ridiculous hour local time. And all of it comes just days before we play Rangers at Ibrox. It's a grueling stretch for any club, let alone one that hasn't added depth during a crucial summer window. This isn't doom-mongering, it's just calling it as it is. Celtic have gambled. The board, for reasons that feel more like financial tight-fistedness than footballing strategy, have decided to wait. Wait until after qualification before acting. In the transfer market, and yes, maybe on paper it looks like a calculated risk. Almaty are not exactly a European giant. This was the easiest draw available at this stage. But football doesn't work like that, does it? Anyone who's followed Celtic through Europe knows how tricky these trips can be. Shakhtar Karagandhi still gives us flashbacks. Astana? Same story. These aren't just long flights and dodgy time. Zones. They're banana skins. Now, let's be fair. Celtic should win this tie. Let's not pretend we're underdogs here. The money, the history, the squad quality, it's all in our favor. UEFA rankings have Almaty below the likes of Hearts. And that's not meant as a dig at them. That's just reality. This is a club whose presence in the Champions League is already a massive overachievement. They've only ever played group stage European football once, and that was the Conference League. For them, this is a dream. For us, this is an expectation. This is a must. And yet, despite all of that, you can't help but look around and feel a bit unsettled. Because while we should be confident, we're not walking into this tie in top shape. There's no real spark in the attack. There's no depth in key areas. And most of all, there's a sense that the squad hasn't been backed the way it should. Have been. The frustration isn't just about who we're playing. It's about what we haven't done to prepare. You look at the reaction from some fans online, and it's panic stations. And I get it, but at the same time, we need to keep our heads here. Celtic are better, full stop. If we don't go through, it's on us. It's a failure from top to bottom, from the boardroom to the dugout to the players on the park. This isn't Real Madrid we're up against. It's a side that, while respectable and clearly spirited, should not be capable of knocking us out. If they do, it's a disaster. It's one of those results that sticks to the club for years. The first leg is where it all needs to happen. No excuses. Celtic Park has to be the place we kill this tie. Not literally, of course, but we need a result that leaves no doubt. 3-0, 4-0. That kind of performance. A statement. Something that says this is our level and you're not ready for it. Because let me tell you, the trip to Kazakhstan is no joke. That's not where you want to be clinging to a 1-goal lead or hoping to grind out a draw. No, we need to get it done at home. Now there's been talk, as there always is, about fatigue, about long-haul flights, about the Rangers match coming up just days later. And sure, those are real factors. But we're in 2025. This is a club with elite facilities, top-level sports science, nutritionists, recovery experts, the whole lot. If you're telling me a group of top-flight professionals can't handle a midweek flight and still perform, then we've got bigger problems than transfers. And yes, travel to these regions hasn't always been kind to Celtic in the past. But those were different squads, different times. We got a better backline now. Our midfield is stacked. If we can't hold our own in a tie like this, something's seriously wrong. And yet, the board, they'll be watching all of this unfold with a smirk. Because from their perspective, they've won. They've drawn the so-called easy opponent. They've avoided splashing the cash. And if we get through, they'll claim it was all part of the master plan. But that's a dangerous game to play. Because all it takes is one bad bounce, one defensive lapse, one miracle goal from Almaty, and suddenly you're staring down the barrel of a financial and reputational disaster. Let's not forget Champions League group stage football isn't just prestige. It's money, it's visibility, it's attracting better players, keeping your best talent, showing the world that Celtic belongs on the big stage. Failing to qualify against a team from Kazakhstan would undo so much of the work done over the past seasons. It would undermine the squad's confidence, the manager's standing, and it would throw the whole season into question before it even begins properly. Still, despite all the warning signs, I do believe we'll get it done. I have to. And I don't think that's blind optimism. It's not me wearing green-tinted specs. It's based on reality. This is a team that went toe-to-toe with Bayern Munich last season. This is a team that's far superior in almost every measurable category to Kra Almaty. If we do our job, and that's the key, if we actually turn up and play to our potential, this tie should be over in the first leg. Now, just a quick word on Almaty themselves, because they're not going to roll over. They're having a strong domestic season. They're top of the table after 19 games. They've got belief. Their chairman was out last night, buzzing with excitement after the Bratislava result, telling the players they're making history and urging them to dream big. So yeah, they'll be up for it. They'll believe. They've earned the right to be there, and they'll give us a game. But that's fine. Let them come. We've just got to be ready. But if we're talking preparation, we've got to address the elephant in the room, the lack of transfer activity. Because as we creep towards the registration deadline, all we've got on the rumor mill is another link to a defender, not an attacker, not even a midfielder, a center half. And yes, we might be well positioned to sign this Etienne Ute kid from Le Havre, but does that move the needle right now? Is that going to change anything before the tie? Probably not. That's not to say he's a bad player. In fact, by all accounts, he looks like a solid addition. Final year of his contract, available for a good fee, interest from elsewhere. It could be a smart bit of business. But again, it's not the area of the pitch that's causing sleepless nights. We need goals, we need pace, we need threat. Because right now, even with a solid backline, you don't win ties like this by sitting back. You need to score. And that's the part that still feels undercooked. Let's keep it rolling then. Because while we've covered the big picture surrounding the Champions League qualifier, there's still plenty going on behind the scenes, and it all ties back to the same issue. Recruitment, or better yet, the lack of it. And while a good first leg result might temporarily hush the critics, everyone watching closely knows that the summer window has not gone to plan. Or worse, that it never was much of a plan to begin. You see, there's this illusion, this comfortable little narrative, that if Celtic qualify for the Champions League, it means everything's fine, that the strategy worked, that patience paid off. But that's not how football works, and certainly not at this level. Qualification doesn't excuse delay. Success doesn't wipe away complacency. If anything, it masks the flaws that are going to catch up with us later down the line. And the truth is, this team is still incomplete. Let's talk about what Celtic actually need. A real goal threat. Someone with pace, movement, intelligence. Someone who can create something out of nothing when the game gets tight. Right now, we don't have that. We've got decent players, don't get me wrong. But we've not got that cutting edge. That spark, that bit of magic that makes European nights memorable. That's what makes this whole situation so frustrating. Because we've got a team that with just a few key additions could really go toe-to-toe with the best. But instead, we're walking into these games hoping rather than knowing. And this is where the board, again, come under scrutiny. They're operating like a club that wants Champions League money without Champions League ambition. Signing late, signing cheap, waiting to see if we qualify before strengthening. That's not how winners operate. That's not how teams that want to make a dent in Europe behave. You build before the battle, not after. You reinforce before the damage is done, not once the cracks are visible. It doesn't mean we've got to go out and break the bank, but It does mean showing intent. It means addressing the obvious weaknesses before they cost you. And if this tie goes badly, if Kral Marty shock us, then there are no excuses. None. Because this was avoidable. This was preventable. The warnings were there all summer long, and we chose to ignore them. And here's the thing, the fans know it. You can feel it in the atmosphere. Yes, they'll pack Celtic Park. Yes, they'll sing their hearts out. But the confidence is fragile. There's excitement, but it's cautious. There's belief, but it's conditional. Because Celtic fans aren't daft. They know when a squad is ready, and they know when a squad is papering over the cracks. Right now, it feels like the latter. Of course, if Celtic go out and batter Kral Marty 4 or 5-0, this conversation takes a different tone. People will calm down. The board will breathe easier. The pressure will lift. Temporarily, but that doesn't fix the underlying issue, which is that this club continues to treat transfer windows like optional exercises rather than critical moments. You can't keep gambling like this and expect it to work out every time. Football doesn't work on luck. It punishes those who cut corners, who delay action, who wait for guarantees before making moves. Now, we mentioned Etienne Youth earlier, the latest name floating around the rumor mill, a centre-back from Le Havre, rated at around £4.3 million, and apparently Celtic are in the lead to sign him. Fine, good. But again, is that where the urgency lies? Is that the piece that completes the puzzle? No, it's not. We're not struggling defensively right now. In fact, this might be one of the most solid backlines we've had in recent years. So yes, if the deal makes sense, go for it. But don't let it distract from the real problem. This is classic Celtic boardroom behavior. Give the fans a shiny new name. Leak some interest to the papers. Let the discussion shift away from what we actually need. It's misdirection, plain and simple. Because until we bring in attacking reinforcements, proper proven threats, the worry will remain. You can't go into a Champions League campaign relying on what we've currently got up front. It's not good enough. Not at this level. And for all the talk about being well positioned in the market, what does that even mean? Are we actively bidding? Are we in advanced talks? Or are we just monitoring the situation until someone else makes a move? Because being well positioned doesn't mean a thing unless you're actually ready to act. It's the same language we hear every window. Interested, tracking, considering. It's vague, it's passive, and it rarely leads to anything tangible. Meanwhile, clubs around Europe are moving, strengthening, planning for the long haul. And we're still stuck in this loop of hesitation. Maybe the thinking is that if we make the group stage, we'll have more leverage, more money, and more appeal to potential signings. But again, that's backwards thinking. You qualify because you're ready, not so you can become ready. And with the registration deadline looming, we're running out of time to do anything meaningful ahead of this tie. That's the reality. Now, to bring it back to the players already here, they've got a job to do no matter the circumstances. And I genuinely believe the squad, as it stands, is capable of winning this tie. But capable doesn't mean guaranteed. Capable means you need to show up, give everything, and make your superiority count. It means taking care of business at home so that the away leg becomes a formality, not a nail-biter. The worst thing Celtic could do is underestimate Almaty. Because while we've got more resources, more experience, and more pedigree, they got nothing to lose. They've already made history. Their chairman is hyping them up. Their fans believe that's dangerous. That kind of freedom can make underdogs fearless. And if Celtic give them even the slightest sniff, it could be enough to shift the tide. That's why the messaging from the dressing room has to be sharp. No complacency, no overconfidence. Respect the opponent, but don't fear them. And above all, don't let the pressure get to you. Because for all the chaos off the pitch, and let's not pretend it hasn't been chaotic, the players still control what happens on it. This is their moment to take hold of the tie, to send a message not just to the fans, but to the board, the media, and the rest of Europe. If they do it right, if they play with purpose, with intensity, with conviction, then Celtic Park will carry them. That home crowd is like nothing else. It can intimidate, inspire, and transform even the tightest fixture into a procession. But it has to be earned. The energy only stays electric if the performance matches it. A sluggish start, a lack of cutting edge, and suddenly that noise turns into nervous murmurs. That's the risk. And then there's the travel. 7,000 miles to the east, across time zones, climates, cultures. It's no small thing. Even with all the modern science and sports infrastructure, it's still a physical and mental challenge. But again, it comes back to preparation. Had the squad been deeper, had we managed the window properly, we could have rotated, protected key players, kept things fresh. Instead, we're likely asking the same group to go to the edge of exhaustion in order to rescue a situation we could have avoided. And it's not just about getting through this tie, it's about what comes after. If we qualify, and we should, then what? Do we strengthen then? Do we finally pull the trigger on long-standing targets? Or do we stumble into the group stage undercooked and get punished? Because make no mistake, the group stage isn't forgiving. There's no margin for error there. You're facing the best, and if you're not ready, it gets ugly fast. So while this next week is crucial, it's not the end of the conversation. It's just the beginning. What Celtic do, both on the pitch and in the boardroom, over the next few days will define the season, not just in terms of results, but in terms of direction. Are we a club that reacts or a club that leads? Are we going to keep playing catch-up? Or are we finally going to act like a club that believes in its own potential? It's frustrating because the pieces are almost there. The spine of the team is strong. The supporters are loyal. The infrastructure is world-class. But that final push, that last bit of ambition, is what separates the good from the great. And right now, we're still waiting for Celtic to show that they want to be great. So as we look ahead to next Wednesday, all eyes are on the pitch, but also behind the scenes. The players have a job to do. The manager has decisions to make. But above all, the board has a responsibility they've ignored for far too long. Back the team. Now, not later. Not after it's too late. Now! Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers around the Scottish football scene have been growing louder in the past week. And now a tantalizing rumor has emerged that could shake the Premiership to its core. Celtic are said to have reached an agreement for the signature of Romania's striking sensation, Denis Munteanu, a forward already being dubbed RODGERS' new executioner in the box. Sources close to Parkhead claim the deal has been in the works for several months, with Brendan Rodgers personally pushing for the transfer after extensive scouting trips to Eastern Europe. The Romanian, who lit up his domestic league with a lethal blend of pace, power, and poise, is reported to be en route to Glasgow, where fans are already imagining how he might link up with the club's creative midfield. While no official confirmation has been issued, the murmurs suggest Munteanu's arrival could be announced before the end of the week, with whispers of a medical already completed in secret. If true, this would mark one of Celtic's most ambitious moves in recent memory, a statement of intent both domestically and in European competition. Supporters are cautiously optimistic, recalling previous high-profile arrivals who lit up Celtic, park under the floodlights, and made history. Observers note that Munteanu's rumored signing would fit perfectly into Rodgers' stated ambition of adding clinical edge to the squad, particularly with the Champions League qualifiers looming. The Romanian striker, only 24 but already capped for his national team, has been praised for his intelligent movement, aerial ability, and knack for scoring in high-pressure moments. Sources suggest Rodgers sees him not just as a goal scorer, but as a focal point for a more dynamic attacking system designed to stretch defenses and create space for Celtic's wide men to exploit. His reported transfer fee, believed to be in the region of $7 million, would represent a significant outlay for the club, signaling both faith in his ability and a commitment to challenging at the highest levels. The timing of this move has fueled further speculation as it follows a period of quiet recruitment and growing fan anxiety over the club's competitiveness in Europe. If Munteanu can replicate his Romanian form in Scotland, he could become a talismanic figure reminiscent of past heroes whose names still echo in the stands. Still, until the green and white shirt is held aloft, this remains a tantalizing possibility rather than a confirmed reality. Behind the scenes, industry insiders claim that negotiations with Munteanu's current club were far from straightforward. Romanian football's growing reputation for developing exportable talent meant there was no shortage of suitors, with teams in Italy, Belgium, and even the English Championship reportedly making inquiries. However, what tipped the scales in Celtic's favor, according to the chatter, was RODGERS' personal involvement and the promise of regular first-team football, combined with the lure of competing on the European stage. Some insiders believe Celtic scouts had been tracking MUNTEANU since his breakthrough season, compiling detailed reports on his performances, personality, and adaptability to different tactical systems. The player's representatives, meanwhile, are said to have been impressed by the club's facilities, the passion of its fan base, and the prospect of becoming a marquee name in a league that can serve as a launchpad to even greater heights. Financially, the package is rumored to be competitive, with performance-based bonuses tied to league goals, European appearances, and silverware. This strategic approach could make MUNTEANU's arrival not just a gamble on talent, but a calculated investment aimed at yielding significant returns both on and off the pitch. Among supporters, the excitement is palpable, though tinged with the typical caution that comes with high-profile rumors. Social media channels have been buzzing with clips of MUNTEANU's goals, from thundering headers to clinical one-on-one finishes, with fans already imagining the roar of Celtic Park as he finds the net against Rangers or in a European night. Others, however, remember the cautionary tales of talented imports who struggle to adapt to the physicality and pace of Scottish football. For every success story, like Henrik Larsson or Giorgio Samaras, there are examples of signings who never quite hit their stride. That said, the idea of a young, hungry striker with a proven track record arriving just as Celtic look to cement their domestic dominance and make an impression in Europe is difficult to resist. RODGERS' track record with developing attacking talent adds to the optimism, with many recalling how he has transformed players into far more complete and dangerous footballers. Whether MUNTEANU will join those ranks remains to be seen, but the potential narrative of a Romanian marksman becoming a hero in green and white is already firing imaginations across the Celtic faithful. If this deal does indeed come to fruition, it could signal a turning point in Celtic's transfer strategy under RODGERS. Rather than relying solely on domestic scouting or waiting for bargain opportunities late in the window, the club appears willing to invest in emerging international talent before their value skyrockets. This could have a knock-on effect on how Celtic are perceived in the broader football marketplace, positioning them as a more attractive destination for ambitious players across Europe. MUNTEANU, if signed, would arrive at a time when the team is striving to blend experience with youthful energy, with RODGERS emphasizing versatility and high work rate across all positions. The striker's ability to play both as a lone forward and in a two-man partnership could give the manager tactical flexibility in both domestic and European fixtures. Fans will no doubt be watching every development closely, dissecting every rumor and refreshing news feeds in hope of that iconic unveiling photo. Until then, the chatter continues, the anticipation builds, and the story of Denis MUNTEANU's possible journey from Romania to the East End of Glasgow remains one of the summer's most intriguing football sagas. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.